Hello, folks. Welcome to the Crime Dawg podcast. I'm your host, Johnny FIORICA, retired detective with the Rochester, New York Police Department after serving 30 years. Sitting alongside my trusted co-host, as usual, also a retired detective with the Rochester, New York Police Department. Folks, we sit before you today with a ton of experience and a wealth of knowledge, but if you want to check out our bios, you can go to our YouTube, Spotify, Rumble pages. You can also check them out on our website, thecrimedawgpodcast.com. While you're there, check out our cool merch store. David, welcome to the podcast, brother.
Happy to be here, Johnny.
David, I know we're happy to be here, but it's disgusting, this podcast that we have to do today. We almost sent text messages simultaneously to each other regarding an incident that happened yesterday on June 15th.
Great mind things alike.
David, I'm going to read it so I don't get it wrong, okay? So here's what happened, folks. And I know David and I beat the drum relative to criminal justice reform and bail reform and all the hogwash that goes on in New York State, but this one is the clincher. Ready? June 15th, at a high rate of speed, Markel Taylor drove intentionally into the front of an RPD officer's vehicle, pushing it backward approximately 50 feet into an RG&E telephone pole. Significant damage was caused to both vehicles. Now, ready for this? Taylor has been released from the Monroe County Jail with non-monetary conditions. That's no bail, folks. Do the math. Here's what happens. Our great, brave men and women of the Lake Section, okay, they respond to a domestic incident at 237 Whitney Street. They spoke with a woman named Jeanette Rivera, who stated that she had gotten into a vehicle with Taylor and he dragged her outside and started to hit her. Little domestic violence, folks. Disgusting. Domestic violence. Law enforcement was called and Taylor left the area in the vehicle. While on scene, officers spoke with Taylor through a ring camera and he threatened to come back and kill Rivera. Isn't that great? Unbelievable. Here's the best part. He also stated, "My mind made up. I'm crashing out. Y'all going to have to kill me. I'm going to jail. You're going to have to shoot me. I'm coming for y'all. I'm on my way right now. I hope y'all are ready. I hope y'all did your training." Again, this scumbag, Markel Taylor, not only because he's not a man, he puts his hands on a woman, beats her up, and then threatens the cops, David. This is what we got. This is our criminal justice bail reform. New York State, 2025. Isn't this fan-fucking-tastic?
Fantastic. Yep. They're in the Democratic Party's the party of enablers. They enable criminals to do whatever they want, and they're never held accountable. And even when Judge Van White, had the ability to hold the defendant in custody, it was a domestic violence case, and he assaulted a police officer. He chose to release him with no bail. Okay, so that's a slap in the face to the young lady he beat up, the girlfriend or ex-girlfriend, and it's a slap in the face to all the law enforcement officers that are trying to do their job in Monroe County. And this is a judge that the citizens didn't even vote on. This judge was actually put into place by Mayor Malik Evans. Okay, and he's also going to get he's up for promotion because I guess the Honorable Malik Evans is going to move him into a new judge position, I believe, with the Court of Appeals. Maybe I might be wrong on that, but he's getting a different job, and you know, it just goes to show you guys when you have judges that can totally go off script, even if bail reform, take bail reform out of it. The judge in this case could have set bail. He chose not to. And this is also a judge that a week before had a homicide suspect in his courtroom who had killed his roommate, and he let him walk because he wanted him to return to work. Okay? He let a homicide suspect out with no bail so he could work. That's what we're dealing with here. The Honorable Van White.
Yeah, David, to piggyback on what you're saying, this is just horrific. I mean, if anything else, we had Sheriff Baxter in the studio last week, and he talked about the PROTECT Act that him and Republican Pam Helming proposed to New York State. It's on the back burner right now because, of course, the assembly people in New York State are not happy with the PROTECT Act because they would rather side with criminals instead of the victims. This was the perfect case for a guy like Van White to say, you know what, hold up, time out. This guy not only slapped around and knocked around a defenseless woman, okay, but here's what he did to a fully trained veteran police officer in a marked patrol car, just to show you where his head's at. So if this guy is willing to go after the men and women who protect the community, what do you think he's going to do to this woman and or her family who try to stop him from beating her up again or killing her?
I'm with you. I don't understand how a judge can sit on the bench and not advocate as best he can for first of all, the victim. Okay, the victim and the family involved. How isn't that taken into consideration at all?
Yeah.
That's the astonishing thing to me.
Yeah.
Put law enforcement, obviously he doesn't give a crap about law enforcement. Clearly, there's no way you can articulate that you are standing with and protecting the men and women of law enforcement in the area if you're letting a guy like this out who made those comments and then rammed a police car causing injury to an officer. I mean, it's egregious. And nothing ever happens to these judges. That's why I'm calling it out. That this is Judge Van White, okay, who was appointed by Malik Evans, okay, and someone in the Crime Dawg Army just sent me a text. Last Thursday he was going to be moved up again by Mr. Malik Evans to the Court of Claims.
Oh,
okay, so that's where he's going. Again, someone that didn't run for election but seems to have a hook in with the mayor, and is no advocate for victims in Monroe County or law enforcement, but no one ever calls them out on it. So I'm going to do it here on the Crime Dawg podcast.
Yeah, absolutely, David. Just to reiterate, and I want to be very clear. So what Sheriff Baxter and Pam Helming had proposed in the PROTECT Act bill, it was what they call a dangerousness standard. And let me tell you a couple disgusting points that New York State does. First of all, they got criminal justice reform, bail reform. Yes, we all know that. Sheriff Baxter and Pam Helming, Senator Helming, proposed the PROTECT Act because there's no dangerous standard in New York State. Out of all of our states, New York is the only one. So take liberal states like Connecticut, New Jersey, Massachusetts, you name it, Rhode Island, Maine, Vermont. They all have a dangerousness standard. This is exactly why they have a dangerousness standard. Because of guys like this. And in sum and substance, a dangerous standard is, okay, this guy, and in this case, Markel Taylor, commits a crime. Not only does he commit a crime and beat the shit out of a woman, he then attacks and assaults, felony assaults, an RPD Rochester, New York police officer. So there is a dangerousness standard in other states that they have in place that allows the judge to say, time out. We understand we also have bail reform like New York State. However, in an incident like this person's too dangerous to go out into the community. And what Sheriff Baxter and Senator Helming had proposed was we need to allow the judges evaluate the dangerousness of this guy. This is exactly why they proposed their bill for an incident exactly just like this, David.
Fair, but I'd also fall back on I don't trust the Honorable Van White to take into consideration a dangerousness standard in this situation because he could have set bail in any amount. He didn't even try. He could have set bail in a decent amount to hold the guy, considering he assaulted a police officer and then he assaulted a female. He didn't. So I don't trust that I'm a big advocate for the Protect Act, but if this judge had the ability to use a dangerousness standard, I'm not sure he even would based on his actions today. So that's the scary part of this is even if you get an act like that through, we have these judges that are out of their mind. What are they doing? How is this protecting crime victims? How is this protecting your law enforcement officers? It's not. It's not. And guys like this need to be called out. It's ludicrous. Okay, there's no common sense involved in these decisions. Zero.
Well, and we all know, right? Van White is just a total Democrat. All he does is bleed blue with the Democrats, right?
Nobody loves a criminal like a Democrat.
He's always had these jobs somehow. I think he was on like the school board or city council. He was always doing something.
Long list of easy jobs.
Right. He was like one of those stereotypical Democratic, let me put my buddy in this position. And now
a lot of nepotism.
100%. And now his buddy Malik is now putting him in whatever, the court of claims or wherever he's going to go after he's literally doing what he's doing to the Rochester community. Folks, David, this is disgusting. I don't have anything else more to say except shout out to our boy, Officer Nicky Thomas, who's tough as nails. We love you, Nicky. Brother. We love you, Nicky. We're behind you 100%. And I wish you nothing but the best. Nicky was one of the toughest, strongest, most talented street cops, one of the best ones I've ever worked with over the course of my career. David, we're going to wrap this up in a bow, unless you want to add something else, brother.
Honorable Van White, this is what I got right here.
Yeah, here's what we got. 2 thumbs down. Folks, listen, if you enjoyed this episode of the Crime Dawg podcast, click like and subscribe. Like I said, you can check us out on YouTube, Spotify, and Rumble, and the crimedawgpodcast.com. If you can't get enough of us, David and I are live. That's right, live on iHeartRadio. Wham 1180 if you're in upstate New York. Click that dial over to Wham 1180. But we're on iHeartRadio every Saturday live from noon to 1. It's called the Crime Dawg Live Show. Thank you for listening to the Crime Dawg podcast. We hope you stick with us for future episodes. But like my brother-in-law, Frankie Grassi, says, if you can't make it, who cares?